All right, so over a month ago, we shared the story of the van we didn't buy. And it was quite the story. If you didn't hear it and the dumpster fire train wreck that it was, go to the show notes and you can get the link to that episode, get caught up, learn about the one we left in the dust. But out of the ashes...
the phoenix did rise.
Out of the ashes came the van we did buy. And that is the story we're going to tell today, along with a few core components that made it a successful transaction, kind of how the whole thing got broken down, and how you can use what we learned in your next new-to-you vehicle purchase. Without further ado, let's dive in. So I'm going to just take us back to the day of the original van falling apart. The van we thought was going to be the van that turned out to be a piece of trash with...
Trash in it. It
had issues in the engine. And I flew to Denver to... Oy. Anyway, the whole thing, I ended up deciding to go on Instagram after the whole thing blew up and fell apart. And I was then going to drive back to Nebraska with a teammate of ours, a Walt Whitman teammate of ours who was coming to Nebraska anyway, so it worked out. Before we hopped in the car, I did an Instagram story while we were getting gas. And I essentially was like, they lied to me. They screwed me over. Help me. Does anybody have any leads? And the Instagram fam, the minivan mafia of Instagram made it their mission in life to get me behind the wheel of a used minivan quickly. Yes, we had, I want to say, at least a dozen credible direct messages in the next 24 hours that all were pointing to something. But one of them in particular was from someone we know. They're trusted friends. They actually live a block away from us, and they know cars really well.
This guy, one of his, I like looking up different, new technologies and e-ink screens. I don't know why. I follow a couple blogs about those. This guy is all in on cars, particularly buying cars.
Yes.
And making the deals and sniffing out the discounts and who do you talk to? Like, that's his thing. So we knew, okay, this guy.
And the pros and cons of different makes and models.
This is it. This will wrap it up right here. We got all these messages from different people. And, hey, there's this one. Hey, there's this one. His message is, hey, there's this one. I just got off the phone with them. It's listed for this, but they'll take that.
He'd pre-negotiated the deal.
Didn't even know if we wanted it or not. It was
right,
great.
But he took it upon himself to go that far.
So
and, we're real friends. So, he was vested in this like we were. So we saw this, and before we do the reveal, I'll say this. Years ago when we began the new to us van hunt, my father is a mechanic. He's been an auto mechanic his whole life. He ran the city
Public Works Department.
He ran basically the mechanical department for the city of Omaha. He's professional. He knows what he's talking about. But he's also old school. And he likes his American-made cars. I'll give him that. And so he had kind of told us, like, we had a van that we liked for various reasons. And years ago, he was like, no, we're going this specific brand and make and model because I know how to fix them. They're cheaper to fix, to maintain, this, that, and the other. And so it kind of narrowed us in, and that led us to that original van that we were looking at. And if you can find a really great Chrysler Town & Country, certain makes and models are a great van. But we were kind of burned out on them. There just weren't a lot on the market. And this one that our friend sent us happened to be a Honda Odyssey. And personally, we've never really revealed this publicly, and maybe even not, we didn't even reveal it to my dad, truthfully, but we have always preferred the Honda Odyssey. The way that it feels when you drive it, the comfort of the seats.
Wow.
I can't get over that, the way the seats feel. Just kind of their features.
way
It's
it
a
looks,
spacious
it just
van.
looks nice. Yeah, it's a little bit
So we
big on
had
the inside.
secretly always wanted a Honda Odyssey. So when our friend had like pre-negotiated this, I saw on Facebook the person selling it. Like we had some mutual friends. That's key too. So I punted my dad the link and just kind of was like, I'm going to toss this out there. See what he says. I know what he said in the past, but we're just going to test the waters again. And then we get a call back from him. He's like, well, let me see. I'll do some, it looks okay, but let me do some research here. And here's key. I'm going to call my brother. And because he owns one of these Honda Odysseys and he's somewhat of an expert. And we'll go from there after I touch base with him.
Mm-hmm. So, and I was out of town for all.
Were
of this.
you?
Yes.
Where were you?
I don't know. I was on a retreat. Was I at the conference? Maybe.
I don't know.
I was somewhere else. I was not in any of this. So you and your dad went and checked it out.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave it his once over, and then we were kind of given the go ahead to move forward.
Essentially, so my dad, he had all these hesitations, right? Because certain makes and models have kind of known issues, right? And the Honda Odyssey, its top issue tends to always be the transmission.
And I will say this is one of the benefits of buying a used car that you don't get when you buy a new one, because you've had years, 3 years to 5 or more years of repair data that's out there. So
right.
Oh yeah, that year, they're all good, but that 2018 or whatever, oh yeah, the transmissions that year were just
slipped.
No good or whatever it is. You don't know if it's a good year or not when it's brand new. So it's definitely a big benefit on a used car over a new car.
Someone ends up kind of discovering those oopsies other than you and your pocketbook. So that can be a real benefit. Now, we were in a time when the used car market, though, is like 30% higher. Hot used car market. So we didn't want to pay crazy marked up prices. So we were wading into this hesitantly, just because, but our friend had pre-negotiated, and the pre-negotiated thing that he had kind of recommended to us was already getting into a healthier range, as far as that Kelley Blue Book value that we saw. And my dad, so the thing that really sealed the deal for him, and kind of the delight through this whole process, was he called his brother, and we ended up discovering that not only does my uncle, and I'll refrain using his name for anonymity, how do you say that? Anonymity. Not only is he a Honda Odyssey owner, but he's essentially a Honda Odyssey expert, and that he's in all these forums, for Honda Odyssey owners. And I mean, he's kind of, he knows engines. He knows how to tinker with things, how to fix things, how to build things. That's one of his things. That's kind of, it's one of my dad's things too. So they ended up bonding over that. And, enjoying this. Anytime I got to hear them going back and forth talking about the the Odyssey, it was kind of a delight to hear this conversation, even though I didn't understand half of it. And, the family that I come from, we are known for being just kind of, we're not cheap. Maybe some could be branded cheap, but I think more often what we see is we want to get a good deal, and we want to maximize that deal. Yeah, and so we're experts at locking in a good deal and then making sure we know how to ride that puppy to the end. So my uncle he has a Honda Odyssey. I think it's a 2011 or something like that. And it currently has well over 200,000 miles on it, and he's just going to ride that bad boy into the dirt, which is the way you get the most value out of a vehicle. So My dad is a huge fan of that. He's done that with many cars as well. And so that is what his plan now is for us in this Honda Odyssey. So what was the process of getting into this?
Yeah, so we got the car. And of course, you went out with your dad, the mechanic, and gave it the look over. You check, all the different fluids. You, of course, take it for a test drive, listen for stuff, feel for stuff. You give it the once over. You ask them about history of records, questions, any little damage, but repair records, all of that they have. And that gives you a better picture of the car. What's its history? And based on its history, of course, history is never a perfect predictor, but it's better than nothing. So you can kind of see, okay, there looked like there was issues with this, or, oh, this thing's fixed, so we don't have to worry about that anymore, whatever it is. So you get you do an inspection and an inspection of the current status of the vehicle. Now, we happen to be related to a mechanic, so that's really helpful. You can just come out and check it out.
Right.
If you are not, most people probably aren't, you can find a friend who knows a bunch about cars or is a mechanic, or just take it to a mechanic. Your trusted mechanic will probably have it listed as one of their services, kind of the used car check. Some of them even do it for free because they know you're going to need service on that car, so they can win your business by providing some services like this. So you'll definitely want to get it checked out to know the status of things, and it helps you understand too. Oh yeah, I mean they're safe, but you're going to need brakes in 6 months or whatever, and that's going to help you understand the costs that will be coming up as you make this decision to buy the car. And hey, maybe some things like that can help you negotiate that price down a little bit more too.
Exactly. So if you go through the inspection process with a trusted mechanic, you also have the benefit of knowing that they now know the car that they're likely going to be working on, especially if they end up discovering anything. So you now got somebody who's got their eyes on the ball at the beginning to help you make a decision, but you have somebody who's trusted that you know that you can now work with on the back end of things. And so not every mechanic is going to be both competent and trustworthy, and this is something that you have to kind of vet. We, again, are just blessed with having this as part of our family. And my dad is just kind of the vetter of all vehicles, and so it's a really nice perk to have. He's also the fixer of all vehicles. We have lucked out there because car expenses and car repairs and maintenance can be so costly. So anyway, we went on this the test drive. And while we were there, my dad and his brother had pre-discussed certain things to look at, things that are kind of known to wear out, or things that might be warning signs, etc. My dad didn't see any massive warning signs, but he did see a few things that were wearing that absolutely needed to be repaired. Or that likely needed to be repaired in the next year. And so right there on the spot, before we'd even bought the vehicle, my dad, the owner had come out and he had said just very honestly, like, hey, look, I've looked at this, that, and the other thing. And, there was some scratches and some dents and different things like that. And I think honestly, that might have been one of the reasons the vehicle had not sold yet. Exactly. It had been on Marketplace for a while, but, sometimes people will show up and they don't have the resources to buy the car, and they'll go ahead and do some of the cosmetic issues that might be there. Like there was a mirror that was broken. They had, their teenage sons had been driving this vehicle for the last few years. So that kind of stuff didn't bug us because we knew how to source the parts and do the repairs, right? We have my dad to help us with that. So that didn't scare us off. And the owner had also said they had a lot of people just like flaky coming and being like, oh, can I pay you this much and then pay you monthly for the next year? No, they didn't want to go through that. And then they didn't want to go through the hassle of a dealer because the dealers are looking, they'll buy almost anything out there right now, but they will pay you crap. They'll pay you good for what it is, but not as well as they're going to turn around and then they're going to sell it for. So you're better off selling it yourself and not having to go through all the red tape. So we knowing all of those things, that they were motivated sellers now, and that they just wanted to find a family that could just buy this without drama. knowing all of that, then my dad said, okay, we see this, this, and this that is going to need to be repaired. I've called my friend who owns a body shop, and that's going to be about this much to do the repair on that. This transmission flush, etc., blah, 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 it's going to be this much. And he had actual numbers. He didn't inflate them. He didn't falsely overdo them. He just was real. These are the actual expenses we're going to incur probably in the first 60 days of owning this vehicle. And then it gave the guy the opportunity to say, cool, I wasn't even aware of those things. They hadn't been driving it that much. So great. Let's go ahead and just knock that off the ask. Like we started with that pre-negotiated amount that our friend already gave us, right? Yep. A couple grand down, and it knocked us into a fair range. And now we had these known costs that we were going to incur. So they knocked it off the asking price even more. It was so gracious of them.
They were really great folks.
And now it became an incredible deal that it was a great deal for our family. And it kind of was a cool thing too. You don't always, we had some mutual friends, but it was almost like watching our family 10 years from now. Because they had, I think, 4 boys, and now we're on the flip side of that. We have 3 girls. Hopefully we'll have more kids, but now we're going to put the van through the same ringer they just did for the last 7 years. We're going to do it for the next 7. And if it's up to my dad, our 17. Girls will be learning to drive in this van. That's his goal. But it was kind of fun to, just have a little bit of a deeper relationship with the person you're buying it from, knowing they're a little more trustworthy than just some random stranger.
Yeah,
that was helpful.
Solid people. And that was very fortunate because, so I was wherever I was.
You were not out of town. You just weren't, you were like home with the kids or doing other things.
Oh, maybe. I just had never seen the car until we went to buy it.
Yeah.
Because I trust you.
Me and my dad kind of had taken care of that. Yeah.
Between the two of you, you're going to see stuff and catch stuff or whatever. I don't need to see it. That's fine. So we go to buy it. And I see it. I think it's so cool. And then I drive it home. And as I'm driving it, we give them the money, all this. As I'm driving home with your dad in the passenger side, it starts feeling kind of weird. It's not shifting, or it's just shifting kind of funny, and it's like, oh boy. And then your dad, he feels responsible, so he's feeling bad because he's like, well, I told you to buy the car, and I was like, it'll work out.
We had already kind of thought this could come up.
Yeah, we knew we had to do some maintenance to the transmission. In the first month or 2, we were planning to do it. We didn't know we'd have to do it in the first day or 2.
Because we thought it'd be more preventative instead of critical. So
he's calling his brother, and, oh, this is happening and all this stuff. Oh, I feel bad. And I'm just like, hey, it's okay. I mean, at first I'm very angry. I'm like, I should have been, and in my head, I should have been involved. What's going on? How did they miss this? And that only lasted for a couple minutes. And then I just had this earlier in the process, right, when everything fell apart with the other van, and then with this one, I just had this immense just peace around the whole thing that no matter what, we will be taken care of. And I remembered that, and I was able to find that again. And I knew no matter what, we are going to be taken care of with this van. And so I was totally calm about it. I wasn't upset at all. I was just like, all right, we're going to have to do some stuff, and hope to kind of get your dad into a mindset a little bit closer to than where he was.
He has the tendency to go pretty negative.
Yes.
Pretty quick.
I think that's a Nissan trait as well.
Pretty much.
And so, all right, but so then he got in the mode. Like, okay, I'm gonna start this and this and this. You're gonna take the other car and go to the store and get this list of parts or whatever. So we did the spark plugs. We did the transmission flush.
3 times.
Well, yeah. So the transmission holds when if you undo the cap. I forget how a certain amount, about a quarter of all the transmission fluid that's in there will come out. It holds on to a good amount of it. So if you want to really swap out all of the fluid, you need to drain it, plug it back up, fill it up, run it, and then drain it, plug it, run it. You have to do this over and over again to kind of swish out all the old stuff, the dirt, the dirty stuff that's in there. So we did that. We did a few, I think 3 or 4 flushes with really good quality transmission fluid. We did the spark plugs, and one of the spark plugs was a little messed up. So that's good. That was a good sign. Oh, we're doing something that might actually matter. So that's great. And then after that, and each time we did the transmission, right, because you have to go drive it to work the fluid around and everything, each flush, it felt better.
It improved.
And it felt better. And it felt better. And this is why it was so wonderful that we bought the thing from great people, that we read the people as well as the van, because I called them up.
Yeah.
When it started going crazy, and I was going to the store to buy, I had to go to like 3 Walmarts to get enough transmission fluid.
So this was like extra things that we hadn't even
that night
talked about.
Yeah. So I called them up and I'm like, hey, how's it going? and I just share with them what's going on. Hey, I was driving at home and it wasn't shifting right and all this stuff. And so we need to, we got to do all the spark plugs tonight. We need to do, we need to flush the transmission this many times. And altogether that's, I forget what it was, $150 or $170 or whatever of stuff that, we were definitely not planning on doing this right away. As a, so if this works, that's great, because we love this van. But if it doesn't work and this transmission is no good,
we can't save it.
I would really appreciate if you'd consider undoing the deal. And I mean, we want it to work. We're gonna put in the work and see what happens. But I just want you to think about that, and I'll keep you updated. And then we did the work and it ended up working out fine. But I think it didn't have to come to me asking
it didn't
them
have to
take it back. I think they would have.
I mean, they were good people. Nobody would want to do that to somebody else unless you're a shyster.
Exactly.
And they weren't shysters.
No, they were really great, and they even and then I also noticed that there was a headrest. One of the back headrests wasn't there. And I asked them about that. And they, oh yeah, we've been looking for it. We can't find it anywhere. But you look and find one and let us know how much it is. We'll give you that. So they, again,
very kind,
incredible people.
Very
it's the type
kind.
Being on this side of the transaction. Like that's how I want to be.
That's how you want to show up
when you sell anything, particularly something big and expensive like a car. And so it's so important when you're buying anything, but especially something that has the possibility to have things you can't really see wrong with it.
Right.
A computer, a car, things like that. You need to look at you kind of evaluate who are you buying this from, as well as what's the condition of the thing. Because if there's some, slick Rick, they're going to be able to kind of smooth over the bad details or hope you don't notice them. But if it's a real good, genuine person, they'll let you know if any issues they know about.
Yeah.
And as you go do your due diligence, you're gonna be taken care of.
Yeah. So those were some of the things that we did in the first 24 hours. But there was one more thing.
Yeah.
One more little fix.
Secret.
That a lot of Honda has now picked up on. But prior to 2018, they had a feature that if you leave it on, it oftentimes led to engine issues and transmission failures.
Yeah, so the eco mode, a lot of different cars do this, not just Hondas, but and it's while you're driving, while you're idling, it could happen. It could do this all the time. It'll shut off some of the cylinders. So if it's a 6-cylinder engine, maybe it turns off 3 of them, and you're working only half the engine. The idea here is that if you're only shooting fuel into half the cylinders, you're using half the gas, and it allows you to get better gas mileage, and it does. However, that process of shutting off some cylinders and starting them back on and all that, it just ends up kind of getting them dirtier and degrading the cylinder, degrading the engine. And so with this, at least when our car was made, you'd find that because of this issue of turn them on and turn them off and all this stuff, these engines would kind of crap out around 100,000 miles or so. But if you disable this feature,
you could kind of save it. You could save the engine.
Going and going and going and going, because you're avoiding the wear and tear of that ecosystem. So a lot of cars these days will have an eco button, and you can just
Disable.
hit it and it turns off. The little green light's not there. The little leaf isn't there, whatever it is. Now, back in the day, they probably thought, well, heck, it's going to get everybody great gas mileage. Why wouldn't you want it on? So there's no button for it. However, you can get a little device. You just you install it into the car. You have to, hook up a couple wires, but it is pretty simple. And it kind of fools the car into never turning on the eco. So you never run into that problem.
And we found our van around 70,000 miles.
Yes.
So it was in time.
To save it.
Yeah, plenty of time to save it. So we kind of lucked out there, and my dad was able to do that, I think, a few weeks after we ended up purchasing the van. And we've had zero issues since.
Yeah, it's a great van.
And we love it. The kids love it. It's been the perfect fit, the perfect upgrade for us. We're so happy that we found it. We're so happy with the way it went down. But we learned a lot in that process.
Yes.
Just to kind of recap some of those nuggets that you can pull out for yourself. The inspection, it revealed so much to us. And then it also helped us to negotiate a fair deal. Because we're coming now with information that the owners maybe don't have about the vehicle. Secondly, the trustworthy mechanic. How can you do this? Buying a used vehicle is really difficult to do without a trustworthy mechanic who you can both have for the inspection, but then also for those repairs, who's going to go above and beyond and really know about the make and model of your car.
And having that trusted mechanic check it out and inform you of what work might need to be done, right? The ding on the side of the van door doesn't really matter because we know it can get taken care of and how much it's going to cost. The mirror on the side mirror that was a little messed up, that's not a big deal anymore because now we know it can get fixed and how much that's going to cost. Instead of being scared off by these things, it allows you to find better vehicles or vehicles that are a better fit for you that other people might be scared away from. And you can get a great deal on some of those because of that. And then no matter what you buy, you should search out the super fans.
The super fan forums.
As blessed as we are to have a mechanic, related to a mechanic, doubly blessed to also be related to the Honda Odyssey
expert
guru, the guy in the forums and the message boards talking about these things for fun. Now, you don't have to be related to the guru and the expert and the guy on the message boards, but you need to find them.
Yeah.
And so you could, of course, start, Reddit. That's kind of the new, they've eaten all the message board systems.
All the forums.
But I'd say if you can find, so that's good.
If you can find credible.
The actual, an actual forum, I don't even know what the website is, but I'm guessing it's something like Honda Odyssey for Life.com or whatever. And then there's a message board. If you can find that, because the people who will be there, those are the super fans. So if you can find something like that, that is gold. And you'll be able to get in there, ask questions, see what some of the most popular posts are, and really see what's going on with this vehicle. What are people doing to it? What issues are they running into? And they'll tell you.
And this is helpful even beyond just buying a car. For literally anything. You want to get a fridge? I promise you there's a super fan forum out there. I originally, back in the day, was part of a personal finance super fan forum. And there were about 20 of us that were just always.
You were the core, man.
I was in the core group. And we were coaching the pants off people.
Yep. Somebody
left
asked a question.
And right.
One of you would answer it.
And we were always in lockstep because we were experts in this topic. And just even through this process, I've realized I've been in that, my uncle's in that. And if you think about the Nissen family, multiple people, we're all just random, complete experts in very niche, weird things. The whole family is just littered with it.
One of your things, yeah.
One of the Nissen ways is that if you're going to get into something, get into it all the way.
So you do your inspection with a trusted mechanic, have a good idea of what's coming up so you can negotiate the price, find those super fans to help guide you along the way, help you even know which vehicle to get and then how to take care of it, and enjoy your car.
And as far as the negotiations go, I will admit, I'm the one who actually made the ask. which was really hard for me. Usually you do it.
Yeah, I wasn't around though.
And you weren't around, so I had to do it with my dad, like listening. And I was shaking when I like tossed out, and would you accept?
And they're like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, they were like, that's fine. You gotta practice before you make the ask, and then just commit. And even if you need to write it down, I think I had to write it down. I had to read the sentence. Would you take, just so I had something to cling on to and to hold. So just go in firm. But if you have somebody that's better at negotiations, you are better, but you just weren't around, use the ace.
Yep.
We should have used you, but you fueled me the ask that you would have made anyway. So I did get it done.
You did it. It's not as scary as it seems.
It isn't.
Getting a car doesn't need to be, follow what we talked about here, and I think you're going to like your new ride.
Yep. So there you have it. There's the van we did buy, the one that did actually work out. I hope that what we shared today in this video is helpful for you in your next new-to-you vehicle purchase. If you bring us along in your next journey as you hunt for a vehicle, you can always tag us at WalletWin all over whatever social media channel you're on. And you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/WalletWin. Is that
YouTube.com/ I think it's channel.
Oh, okay.
/
You can find us over on YouTube.
Click the
subscribe
link in the
to the
show
channel.
notes.
Anyway, until next time, bye for now.
Bye for now.